What's up, everybody? It's HBT with Straight Up Wrestling Show. Guys, let's talk about championship belts. Let's talk about championship belts. You know what I mean? Once again, I'm going to say it again. Let's talk about championship belts and how important championship belts are to a wrestling organization. So, hey, we definitely going to get into that because, wrestling belts are very important. Very important. And I think a lot of wrestling companies today, and I'm talking all the way from WWE, AEW, all the way down to the independents, don't seem to realize how important these championships are. Now, I will say one thing about WWE. One thing about WWE, it seems like they're getting it right. They're beginning to get it right here lately. Things are changing. It seems like they are taking titles, especially the new title that Seth Rollins is holding, that new World's Heavyweight Championship. They seem to take that very seriously. He has defended that title multiple times in a very short period. So I have to give them credit for that. And we have to look at what they have done with the Intercontinental Championship that's on Gunther right now. That title has been defended multiple times, and Gunther has been he has represented that title very well. And, I think their concentration on that, and then you have Roman Reigns with his titles, with the Undisputed title. I mean, he doesn't, he has gotten to the point where he wants to, make his own schedule and don't defend it as much. But the good thing about him having that title is Roman Reigns is visible. He's visible out here to people, and they have him in a storyline. That bloodline storyline is keeping him busy. So he's visible and he's their champion, and people look at him as the world's champion, as the best in the business. So when you have that dynamic, when you add that to his title, him holding that title, then it pretty much balances everything out. So he is representing that title and representing that company very well with holding that title. And man, and one thing I have to say is this. I know a lot of people wants to say, "Oh, okay, that title's not that important." Holding those titles is not important. It's all about the wrestling. It's all about the wrestling or whatever. And so they take that and they want to dismiss some things that's going on in some other companies, and which I'm not going to mention right now, but some other companies, champions not being out here and defending the title for the people. Us consumers, man. I'm sorry, but these wrestlers have a responsibility to the consumer to defend their titles. And when somebody hands you a title, especially they give you a world title, then that comes with great responsibility. Great responsibility. You hold that title, you have been given responsibility as saying, hey, carry my company. Carry my company. And so, you have wrestlers out here who are not doing that. Excuse me. Now, I know a lot of times booking gets in the way, but like I said, with great power comes great responsibility. They make you a world champion, then you should have the power to go in there and talk to whoever booking or whoever the promoter and talk to them about, hey, I'm not being booked right. I need to be put out here. I want to defend my title against XYZ. Start naming certain guys. I want to defend against the top 10 guys. Top 10, top 12 guys. And put them in, consecutive weeks or every other week. You defending that title. You are giving the fans, something that the fans are out here clamoring for, man. I mean, you want to be, when you have that title, like I said, you are the cornerstone. You are the building block, which that company needs to build around. Every company should build their roster and what they're trying to do around their champions, man. Especially the world champion. Especially the world champion. If you have a world champion in your organization, or if you go back to the regional days, you go back to the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, you want to build your roster around that Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship belt. And then they got the United States belt, and then they had the NWA World belt over there. But, you know, usually the United States heavyweight title was usually a mainstay in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, that Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship. But the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship, you wanted to build your roster around that. Georgia Heavyweight Championship, and Georgia Championship Wrestling, you know, it's the Georgia Heavyweight Championship, and then it was the National Heavyweight Championship. You want to build your rosters around that. And right now, you know, I'm going to go ahead and name that company, and name this one company, AEW. AEW, we have a world champion who's only defended his title a few times since he had it since he got it in November. I think it's been 3 or 4 title defenses, and he's barely wrestled since then. He's been in the ring probably 6 or 7 times. 6 or 7 times. And you have people out here, you know, who wants to defend that. They want to defend him to the death. And man, I'm sorry. You know, when it boils down to it, you know, he has responsibility. A lot of the responsibility of their ratings and how everybody perceive AEW is on his shoulders. And I know Tony Khan was doing a lot of the booking, and he says he let a lot of it go or whatever. But MJF, you know, when he came back, MJF signed a new contract. MJF supposedly got everything that he wanted in that contract. So my thing is that this man has a lot of power. He owes a lot of power. Tony Khan doesn't want to lose him. But right now, what is Tony Khan getting in return by putting his World Heavyweight Championship on this guy? Remember a couple years ago, 2 years ago, when we first started this thing over here, Straight Up Wrestling Show, Kenny Omega was the world champion in AEW. He brought a lot of respect to that company. Kenny Omega was getting accolades from around the world. And I know he was over in Japan doing a whole bunch of things and all that. But Kenny Omega was out here wrestling every week. If he wasn't wrestling solo, he was wrestling a tag team. And if he wasn't wrestling, he was showing up on TV. I know MJF can talk and everything like that, but this guy is not all about talking. And for him to pull off a great promo talking, this guy got to talk for a good bit of time. He's not a Ric Flair. He's not a Roddy Piper. You know, he's not one of these guys, man, that get up there and say a few words, you know, get up there and cut a 30-second promo, and boom, everybody's going back. He's not a macho man. He does not have that type of appeal with his promos. His promos is a long jack promo, 9-10 minutes long, for people to get interested in that. And I'm sorry, how many people are going to go back and be listening to these promos? He's not going to have a promo package like a Nature Boy Ric Flair, like a Macho Man Randy Savage. These promo packages that people going, sorry about that, guys, that on the road and had to go around a bicycle. But he's not going to have, people are not, you know, they might take snippets out of it. I don't know. And I know there's some out there right now. Don't get me wrong. But this guy want to be iconic just because of the way he talks. Now, is he a great wrestler? He talks about himself as a great wrestler. Yes, he is, but he can be a whole lot better. Defend that title against other great wrestlers, man. Defend that title and build up your company. Great responsibility comes with great power comes with responsibility, great responsibility. And, you know, even the Bible has a quote on that, man. You know, I'm not, you know, I hate to use that, you know, I mean, on a wrestling channel, but it's true. With power comes responsibility, and then responsibility to your master. It says to your master, but it's basically saying, you know, to the owner of that product, of that entity, or whatever that is. It's like me, if I had a grocery store and I make somebody the general manager or make them the manager of my store, then they have the responsibility to take care of my store. I want them to take care of it. I don't care if it's a car lot or whatever it is. If I own the car lot, I want the best salesman out there, and I want a manager to put the best people in positions to sell my car. And I don't want the manager in there dilly-dallying around and, coming in when he wants to come in. And just because he sold 3 cars 1 month, he don't show up for the rest of the week. I mean, for the next few weeks, except for every now and then show his face. and being praised by other wrestlers that's in that building or whatever. And they'd be like, oh, he's the number one salesman. He's this, he's that. I'm sorry, man. Things do not stop. MJF, you don't cut great promos and then you get the world title and then things just stop. It just stop. And you defend that title every few weeks. Oh, I mean, not every few weeks. Every 2 to 3 months, you might defend the title. Or you wait to every pay-per-view to defend the title. This is not boxing, dude. This is not boxing. And some people, they want to act like it is in this wrestling business. They absolutely do. Do MJF have power with hey, Tony Khan? I know a lot of people just shutting their mouth when it comes to Tony Khan. But do MJF have power? Yes, he does. He's their world champion. Do Orange Cassidy have power? Yes, he does. The guy have him on constantly. Defending his title. He's the first one usually on the show. Have a whole bunch of power to say something. But, Orange Cassidy's out there. He's out there wrestling. I give him that. Even though I don't know if he's the ideal champion. And I can't say that he actually brings eyes to the product. But at least the guy's out there trying. He's giving it his all. But, hey, I look at people like FTR. Even CM Punk. How much is CM Punk, which I'm sure he's going to want that title. But when he gets that title, I bet you he'll be more of a fighting champion. Even at the stage of his career where his body is broken down, he'll be a bit more of a fighting champion than MJF. And that's sad to say. And don't get me wrong, love MJF. I predicted this about MJF 2 years ago. I talked about this on our show. If you want to go all the way back into the archives and listen to our shows, all I did was brag about MJF. It's way before he got the title. And my partner, Christopher Burton, he didn't believe in him. He was like, no. But they did like certain things about him. And Chris could see things early on about him. And Michael King saw things early on about him. But, I'm like, this guy right here is the future of pro wrestling. But he's gotten to the point where, he got me to the point where basically I can't stand the way he carries things out in this business. It's not good for it. It's not good for the business at all. If AEW really wants to compete with the WWE, they're going to need everything that MJF can give. I know they just brought CM Punk back. They have AEW Collision now. And that's CM Punk's show or whatever. And they talking about a brand split. With the way WWE is doing everything, I don't think they'll do a brand split. I would be shocked if they do. With everything that WWE is doing. And WWE, you better believe, is going to do everything they can to shut down AEW Collision. Or they're going to use it as just, they might not, when it boils down to it. They might not. They might use that as, motivation. To say, okay, competition is good, even though it's a small bit of competition, just to stay on top. They might use that as motivation just to do that. Because WWE is doing its thing. But yeah, that's basically all I really wanted to talk about, guys, is, I just wanted to put that out there. I have a little rant or whatever. Could have went live, but, I just wanted to go ahead and do it as a video. Just do it as a video because I'm in my car. I'm driving right now. And I just wanted to do it as an audio segment because those titles are very important. Very important. I will come back and I'll talk about this and I'll talk about it live and do that on a live video. But yeah, it's very important. And hey, without those NWA traveling champions, NWA taking that very seriously, and you can even go to the AWA and the WWF or the WWF back in the day. If they didn't build their companies around the world champion. That world champion wasn't important. If it wasn't in the WWF, if it wasn't for men like Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, superstar Billy Graham, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, then hey, WWE wouldn't have never made it to where it's at now. And is it in better shape than it was back then? Of course not. When Hogan had the title, but they still on top. Would Jim Crockett Promotions would have morphed into WCW and got as big as it was if they didn't put the importance on the World Heavyweight Championship? No, it wouldn't have got that big, man. Ric Flair carried that banner for the NWA, even though when it had a bunch of regional territories. And everywhere he went, man, they gained numbers. Everywhere he went. And they put tails in the seats, man. You know, Ric Flair, Harley Race, Terry Funk, Jack Briscoe, Dory Funk Jr. Very important to the building blocks of the NWA all the way to WCW. That was the building blocks. Sting, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ricky Steamboat. You know, all those guys that held that title. That title is those titles very important. AWA, Nick Bockwinkel, Vern Gagne, Kurt Heenan, Rick Martel, Stan Hansen. Those titles mean a lot to building your brand. Not just the World Heavyweight Championship, World Tag Team Championships, World Television titles. All those titles mean something. But the buck stops at the Heavyweight Championship, the main championship in your company. That's all the way from the WWE, all the way down to the indies, man. The independents. If you have an independent organization and you flip-flopping that title every month or however many times you run a show, because a lot of indies only run like once a month. Some run every other month. There's a few that run every week. But if you flip-flopping that title back and forth and you're not giving people time to digest a real champion, who the champion is, then you pretty much defeating the purpose in wrestling. And that's not just wrestling, that's anything you do. You go into a restaurant, if they continue to have turnover after turnover and they continue to change managers, I guarantee you they are not going to be too successful. Or you're not going to like that food after a while. You're not going to like the service after a while. But man, that's pretty much it, man. This is HBT with Straight Up Wrestling Show. I'm out of here, guys. Stay straight up. Peace.